upset. No disrespect, respectfully, but disrespectfully is disrespect. Don't be disrespectful. Those vile, disgusting Spartans, poor little bro them. And I'ma tell them why I'm mad. That vile, disgusting cesspool in Columbus, the other state, and of course, as always, I'm upset.
Maize and Blue Nation, it's Tom Brady. I co-founded Autograph with one mission in mind: change the fan experience for the better. That's why I'm excited to announce the release of a new app that recognizes the biggest Michigan fans. The Autograph Fandom app gives you access to the best Michigan content, fan challenges, and exclusive rewards for diehard Wolverines, all for doing the things you already do, like listening to this podcast. Head over to the Apple App Store and search for Autograph Rewarding Fans and download today.
What's good, good people? It is I, the Maize Madman. I'm here with my guy,
the Maniac.
Of course, it is another Eminem Monday. You saw the title. Will the real Michigan quarterback please stand up? Shout out to my guy DK. Go Blue.
DK.
Hit that like button.
What up, champ?
DK is hilarious, by the way. But be sure to hit that like button on your way in. We got a bunch to go over today. And of course, we're going to get to our big top fives, but we'll get to that in a second here. First things first, let's start right here. Bye week, just in time. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, man, honestly, it couldn't have come at a better time. With Michigan plagued by injuries, just not looking good, overall on the offense, the defense, where we have a crisis identity at quarterback. It seems like it gets worse by the week. It might look good, then it gets bad. So now this coaching staff has 2 weeks to prepare for Illinois, but a good full week to look in the mirror and say, guys, what are we and what are we going to be for the next 6 games? What are we going to be? Because I'm going to tell you this. If it doesn't get better, we're looking at a 6-6 season. If that.
Yeah.
Right? If that. So, and if we go 6-6, man, that's it's gonna be a long off season for us Michigan fans. Right. If we could do 8-4, not saying I'll be happy with that, but 9-3. If we could just maybe lose one more game, as long as it ain't to Ohio State, I'll take the Oregon. Look, I just hope we get one L a month. We lost once in September. Hopefully, we already lost in October. We got 2 games. We got Illinois, Michigan State. Those are winnable games. And those are losable games at the same time. And then we get in November, which is Oregon, Indiana, Northwestern, Ohio State.
Right.
So, yes, the bye comes at a perfect time.
Yeah, I agree. The bye comes. Shout out to my guy Dom, who's in here. DK is in here. Kinetic is in here. My guy E is in here. Shout out to everybody who's here, by the way. Hit the like button if you haven't already. That said, I agree. Bye week comes just in time, and we're gonna need it for the stretch of 4 games that we're about to go on. Right? We come back from the bye right into the Lions den that is now Illinois, right? At Illinois. Follow that up with a home game against Porlo Bronem. But then we welcome the Ducks, and then I think we're back on the road to Indiana after that.
Correct.
So that's 3 top 25 teams in a 4-game span after the bye week before we get another bye, because the conference is massive now. And then we finish it off with Northwestern and the other state. So I think it's critical for Michigan in this next 4-game stretch to, again, maybe lose one. The likelihood of that might have dropped dramatically and not because of the current quarterback, but just because of the way Michigan is playing, the way they looked in that Washington game, right? If Michigan can get out of the next 4-game stretch with one loss, I'm gonna take that as a win for us because it's pretty daunting over the next 4 games. What you think?
Yeah, absolutely, man. If we could come out that stretch with one loss, we got, like you said, Illinois has Purdue Saturday, which is most likely going to be a win for Illinois. They're going to be very confident going into that game against Michigan. And I think right now, the sad part, they looking at Michigan like fool. We fool right now for teams. They're like, we got Michigan. Yes, it wasn't like that these last 3 years. So listen, we have to find a way to ignite that fire again. How we ignite that fire, how we say, damn, these guys are just flying to the ball. But we saw that in the first half with USC. We saw that in the first half with Minnesota. And then it just disappears. Defense, they didn't play atrocious on last Saturday, but they played bad. It was not a good performance. It was a bad performance. Not atrocious is bad. So we got to understand that this team has no margin for error, man. We have to pretty much play perfect football, which is you not every game you could do that. As long as we're playing to our strengths. I think if Michigan plays to the strength, which is not blitzing all the time, wink, one, you got elite linemen, let them cook.
Right.
Same thing with the offense. Screen passes, dump, throw options. You got running backs. We got dogs at running backs. What are we doing? And this is the sad part. Washington, depleted. They bringing back less starters than Michigan. And look how they look on the field, man.
Right.
That's coaching, bro. That's coaching. Because they're not more talented than Michigan. That's coaching. Coaching matters. And it's showing. Now, again, I'm not one of those that's going to say fire more. That's ridiculous after 1 year. But I'm telling you this, man. Next year, we at Oklahoma week 2. I think we play, I think, White Castle Tech the first game. We know we're good there. Bring your French fries. We'll be all right. But if we're looking like this next year, then, man, listen, we can't go the Rich Rod era. We can't go Brady Hoke. If this shit ain't looking good next year, we might have to make a change right away. We can't do that, man. We're not going back to that mediocrity that Michigan was for years. Absolutely not.
Right. Nah, I agree 1,000%. That is not acceptable. I will say that we have become comfortable with being very good, being an elite program, right? And I don't think Michigan's going to be elite no matter what that record is in terms of being a program and being elite, but we have had success Michigan has had success over the last 3 years. That's really been pretty historic, right? First 15-0 team in the Big. They, first 3-peat Big Ten champions.
Outright,
right? So, that's
first Big Ten team to go to 3 straight playoffs.
Exactly.
3 straight. Yes, Ohio State, you've been to more playoffs, but you never been to 3 straight. Just saying. I have to get that out the way.
So, it's a lot of things that, we became accustomed to almost over that 3-year span that, this kind of feels foreign now. But if you've been a fan of Michigan football, like, most of us have forever, then you understand, that there are dips, there are some valleys sometimes. And right now, I wouldn't even call this that. Michigan is a 4-2 football team that could have easily won this game against Washington. The only real loss on the, obviously this is going to count as a loss, but the only one that Michigan didn't have a chance in this season was that Texas game. So, there are things to take from this in a positive way. They also were on the road at Washington. It's the first road game for Michigan this season. Washington is a tough environment to play in and win in. We understand all of that. But it's got to be better, and it's not just on offense; it's on defense. It's everybody. Everybody in the building really has to be better, right? Sharon Moore has to do a better job of getting the most out of these OCs and DCs. He's got to do a better job of, getting that game plan more cohesive, both on the offensive and defensive side. And the OC we spoke at nauseum about. Wink Martindale we spoke at nauseum about. So I'm not trying to rehash that, but obviously those two guys need to be better. That goes without saying. Before we get on to the next topic, let's go to the comment section real quick. See what we got. Dennis Wardell, defense doesn't get what Wink wants them to do and still looks confused. That's coaching. That's a fact.
Absolutely.
No bite to my Jet Fish suggestion.
What did he say about Jet Fish?
I don't know. What'd you say about Jet? If anything, we should find Jet Fish intriguing. If in 3 years he returns UW a success, like what DeBoer achieved, I see him potentially returning to Michigan as head coach. I mean, hopefully in 3 years, Sharon Moore has done something better with Michigan than what we are right now.
Yeah,
so,
I know. I get it. I get what people are saying. Everybody's just riding Sharon off. And it's not fair. It's not fair for a first-year coach, right? I mean, listen, he made bad hires that we thought, we never really knew about Kirk Campbell. Wink, we figure, okay, yeah, he's the father of the system. He's the OG, as he says. He had his young gunners and Mike McDonald and, my son, what's my other man? I forgot our defensive coordinator from last year.
Jesse Minter.
Jesse Minter. So, bro, it's like, yo, the students became better than the teacher, man. Yeah. And I don't know why. If I'm Wink, man, and this is the problem. I'm not saying I don't know Wink personally, but a lot of them dudes are stubborn, right? To me, I'll look back at the last 3 years. My proteges were here having success with the same kind of talent. Why I'm not having the same success? Hold on. Let me look at the tapes. Let me see what's going on. And he got to figure it out, man. It just can't be like, well, I'm going to just stick to what I do and that's it. That's not going to cut it. That's not going to make the team better or the defense better.
Yep. Kinetic makes a good point right here. On top of everything I said above, which I don't know what that was, but I'll go back. He didn't get a good look in the winter portal. He didn't get named head coach until February. He didn't get his staff locked in until March. So he got half a spring to evaluate. That's fair. And also, look, man, as much as I love Jim Harbaugh and what he did for Michigan, he didn't do Michigan any favors in the timing of his, choice, his decision to depart, right? Like it was late in that, you know what I mean? In that that kind of time where you can make a decision. He could have made a decision earlier and been gone, and it would have given Sharon Moore more time to kind of, lock in staff, lock in, portal pieces and stuff like that. It was kind of late in the game for that when it all happened.
Yeah. Let me see.
Let Moore do his thing. Let him grow. I agree with that. Tony Alford was a plant by the Hey, look. I will say this. Tony Alford, by the way, his group is looking like the best group on offense right now outside of Colston Loveland, who was just carrying the tight end group on his shoulders too. But the running backs are looking like the best part of the offense right now. So shout out to Tony Alford for that. I would like to see him recruit running backs better than what he's done since he's been at Michigan. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. So look, man, it's simple, right? We know it's the talent is there. Definitely on the defensive side, right? So let's see how we look after this week, man, after the bye, excuse me. It's a 3:30 game. Thank goodness it's not another night game, which it'll become a night game by halftime. It'll be dark already. But listen, man. If we this game is gonna be very telling, man. We're gonna see the fire, man. I want to see these guys come out like missiles and hit. Like that's another thing. I'm not seeing like us like laying the wood, bang, dang, bing, like Michigan defense, like ooh, it's just like, well, first we can't tackle in space, so what I'm expecting, right? I mean, but Stewart is cooking, our D line is cooking, so we'll see, man. The way Alpha rotates the RBs.
That is true. Because I thought in that second half. Now, granted, I don't know if that's offered. I don't want to put that all on him if it's not him. But certainly the way the offense is rotating the running backs, especially in that second half, after Donovan had really cooked in the first half, he had like 80 plus yards at halftime. And I feel like you got to feed the hot hand at that point. I know Khalil Mullins has really carried Michigan for most of the season, but Donovan was hot. And even in the championship game, if you remember the national championship game, Donovan had those 2 big runs, but he only touched the ball in terms of running the football 4 more times, right? So it's weird the way that they kind of manage the touches and stuff like that sometimes. And I thought that you definitely we should have been heavy Donovan Edwards in the second half. No disrespect to Khalil, who could still be the starting running back. It's just, at that moment, and Don's explosiveness was just more needed against a team like Washington.
Yeah.
What can be salvaged from this season, Maniac? What do you think? What's the best case and worst case scenario for Michigan this season?
The best case for Michigan moving forward is beating Ohio State, man.
Yeah,
I'm just telling you, it does matter. But if Michigan we're 4-2, so there's 6 games left. Right. Michigan only has 2 wins going into the Ohio State game. That'll make them 6-5. And then they could beat Ohio State. Then the momentum, the moving for next season is going to be humongous, because they're going to say, damn, Moore did this with this tobacco team and this team and they went in there to the shoe and beat a team that could possibly win the Natty. Wow. Like that'd be amazing. But worst case, we won't win another game.
Oh man.
I don't think that's gonna be the case. Right. But look, let's one thing is I'm a realist. That's I've always been that. As a Michigan fan, or Illinois game is a loser. In fact, I know we're gonna be the underdogs. Right. I'm more 60-40 for Illinois in that game. But I think stylistically, Illinois is a better matchup for Michigan than Washington was. Mm-hmm. So I don't think Bielema is the offensive mind that Jeff Fish is. So right. And I don't think they as explosive. They more of a Michigan team. So it's going to be like looking at Michigan looking at themselves in the mirror when they play Illinois. Right. Michigan State, we could say what we want about them. I think the reason we win that game because we at home. But I think that shit is going to be a nail biter. Childs is the truth. But shit, we talk about Davis Warren, a turnover machine. We know Childs throwing 2 interceptions against Michigan minimum. So right. I think that's when, and then after that is Oregon at home. Now, this is where I think Michigan, if let's just say they 1-1 going into that Oregon game and find a way to win that game.
Right.
Because remember, Oregon, their defensive, they defense is good, not great. It's not a dominant. Mind you, their head coach is a defensive mind. He was the DC when Georgia beat us in the playoffs in 21. But there's not a team that I look at like, wow, yeah, this is a guaranteed loss. I mean, on paper, it looks like a loss, but it's a game Michigan can win, man. Similar to the USC. But it depends what Michigan team we get. If we play like the way we've been playing, absolutely not. You know, it's
Right,
long.
they
They
lose
lose
out.
out. Yeah, we know. We spoke about that. So
First,
I say the best case, man, for Michigan, 9-3, shit, 10-2, winning out 6 games. That's not gonna happen. I'm a realist. We ain't winning 6 straight.
so I
So
think I think the ceiling is probably 9-3. Uh, just with the next 4 games, right? It's gonna be tough to get out of that unscathed. Let alone talk about going undefeated, but for the rest of the season. But I think the ceiling would be 9-3 with the win over the other state. The floor, I think, is Michigan going something like 6-6, 7-5. Um, they're going to be favored over Poor Little Bro Nim. They're going to be favored over Northwestern. Those might be the only 2 games left on the schedule where Michigan is going to be favored. Let that sink in as you that puts 4 other football games on the schedule. Michigan is going to be a dog, which is crazy to even think about. Coming off the last 3 seasons, again, we've already doubled the loss total of the last 3 seasons in the regular season, and it's not looking pretty. Michigan was a top offensive team, like a top 10 offensive team and defensive team for like all of those years, I believe. And if not, they were right outside of it for all of those years. So this is a completely different team. I saw we were like 129th nationally out of 133 teams on offense. That's not good. The defense isn't doing much better, especially we went over those third down numbers where they're 90th in the nation in terms of getting off the field on third down. Also not very good. Whereas last year they were like tops in both of those numbers in terms of getting off the field on third down and, keeping a drive alive on third down. Michigan was at or near the top in both of those numbers. What a difference a year makes. The defense, for the most part, is very similar to the defense that they had last year in terms of the names that are on the defense. Losing Mike Sanders still is huge. He's obviously irreplaceable. Rod Moore getting hurt at the beginning of the season, I think, has hurt us way more than anybody is willing to admit. Junior Colson just being a constant on that team, and Mike Barrett also. The linebackers that we have now, I think, are more talented than both of those guys in terms of a ceiling, but certainly they aren't putting it together the way that those dudes did. So that's one of the knocks on the team. I think a realistic finish is 9-3, or that's the ceiling. A realistic finish is probably more 8-4. And we get back to the drawing board. I just want to beat the other state because you know what the narrative is going to be if we don't, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna blame Connor Stallions. They're gonna credit Connor Stallions and Spy and Signal Gate with all of the success of the last 3 years. I mean, I don't really care. In fact, last year I said we should probably stand up and take responsibility for being villains at this point. Reminder, hit the like button.
Yes,
shout out
sir.
to my guy Dom. Thank you for the 199 super chat too, Dom.
We got the link in the chat. We got the link in there. Anybody want to
yeah, we could drop the link in the chat too. Because I forgot about that.
Man.
Anybody that wants to hop up, feel free. Hop on up, join the discussion. We move on. Maniac, you submitted your big conference top 5. We're going to talk about it. We're going to discuss it right here as soon as I can pull it up. What's the biggest we'll I guess we'll get to it once we get it up, if we get it up, because sometimes this is more complicated than it should be. But as we get this up, I will say I went against my word. I said I was not going to put the other state number 1 anymore this season. Unfortunately for me, I did that. I think I had to do it this week. There was really no getting around it, unfortunately. But yeah, let's take a look at the Maniacs top 5.
Yes, sir. So as again, anyone new to our top 5, it's based on performances of that week. These are not the top 5 teams we feel are the Big Ten, even though most of them are probably anyway. But anyway, let's get right to it. Ohio State. Reason I pick Ohio State, one, this was their toughest test against a tough, gritty, well-coached Iowa team. I mean, yes, they were, handicapped offensively. Look, they didn't look too good in the first half. They looked okay. It was only 7-zip going into the half. But one thing Ohio State has been doing beautifully that reminds me of the old Michigan, the last 3 years of Michigan teams, the second half. They make adjustments and they just knocking teams out in the second half. This was no different. And man, they just dominated Iowa turnovers. They just made it happen, man. That was without a doubt the most, to me, the number one performance of all Big Ten teams on Saturday. Number 2, Oregon, the Ducks. So, Oregon, they played Friday. They played Lil Bro in them, and it was just a beating. But I think Oregon is starting to come on. They're starting to look like a top 5 team now. We will really, really get to know this Saturday when both of these teams face off, which is going to be the game of the week. I can't wait to see that. Let's go Ducks. Number 3, Indiana. Listen, man, this team right now is just a juggernaut, man. Even they play Northwestern, right? Yeah, Northwestern is probably bottom of the half of the Big Ten, but what Indiana's showing is consistency in all these games. No one is yet to really stop that offense, and they just offensively look like a juggernaut. Once they play a team with a very good offense, I think that's where they're going to struggle. I think defensively, they not the old Indiana teams, but they not there yet. They're not there yet. But listen, man, if this coaching staff could start recruiting some defensive players and get some in the portal, Indiana might be scary for some years to come. Nebraska. Now, Nebraska, they played undefeated Rutgers. Rutgers, again, looking like one of the better mid-tier teams in the Big Ten. And Nebraska put a stop to that. It was only 14-7 now. What a game. Nebraska, again, with a true freshman quarterback, right? They win. Yes, that's a shot to my own team. But I think that was a very solid win, a gritty win. They against a good Rutgers team, and they made it happen. And, of course, Washington, right? Regardless what you say, I know Michigan, we were ranked number 10. And they beat a ranked number 10 team, man. And they lost just about every single person from last year, offensively and defensively. And they still beat Michigan. So I think that was an impressive win by Washington, especially coming off a loss to Rutgers, a game that many felt they should have won. But yeah, I put Washington at number 5 over Penn State because they just didn't look too good against UCLA, which is considered the worst team in the Big Ten. It's between them and Purdue.
Yeah, no doubt. I like your list. I'm not mad at that list at all. I only had one major difference on the list. And that is if you look at the number 5 team or 4 team for me, I had Penn State there instead of Nebraska. I do think Nebraska got a quality win over Rutgers. I don't want to take anything away from that. And Penn State traveled to the West Coast and eventually put a beating on UCLA, I guess.
No, I was at home. They playing Happy Valley.
That was at home. UCLA traveled to Penn State. So
Penn State though but they traveled to USC Saturday.
Right.
So they'll be on the West
They're probably
Coast
going to win. If I'm being honest. But I put Penn State there instead of Nebraska. they had a bigger win in terms of the spread, the point spread. But I do think Nebraska's win's probably uh, a better win. I just think Penn State is better overall, though. So I put them there. And then Washington, of course, at number 5. They just beat Michigan. Again, a top 10 win over Michigan for Nebraska at home. So I did that. Obviously, the other state is playing like the best team in the conference right now. Oregon is playing like the second best team in the conference right now. And we're going to see those two teams face off against each other this Saturday. So I'm excited for that too. Iowa really shot themselves in the foot, especially at the beginning of that second half. And then it was just a snowball effect after that. And it got out of hand. Oregon beat Porlo Bronim. I'm not giving you too much credit for that, but they handled their business. Indiana is a solid football team. I can't say much in a negative fashion about Indiana. They're very solid, and they got the number 3 spot this week. That is my week 7 top 5.
Yeah. Indiana's well coached, by the way.
Those time zones have been killing teams. That's a fact. So I saw that just in the Big Ten or the Big Conference, teams that have traveled more than 2 time zones are 1-8 this season. So the time zones are really doing some damage. The other state has to travel to Oregon. I think that's going to really make that game closer than it would be on a neutral field. But yeah,
and it's a night
you got to watch out for those time zones. Michigan just suffered a similar fate. Although I'm not blaming the time zone on that Michigan loss.
Nothing to do with time zone. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Had everything to do with everything else.
It was a historical weekend.
It was some big games. Let's talk about that really quick. Some major teams went down. Alabama coming fresh off a big win over Georgia, right? And they were looking unbeatable. I think even last week I was saying that Alabama looks like the clear-cut number 1 team in the country. Boy, was I wrong.
Man,
oh man. Shout out to the Maniac. Vanderbilt really dominated that entire game. Wire to wire, Vanderbilt dominated Alabama. The funniest thing is, I don't know if you saw this, but Nick Saban did a spot with who's the punter over there on ESPN that got the big show?
Yeah. I forgot his name.
Yeah, I forget his name too.
Anyway, McAfee,
right?
Pat
McAfee.
Yeah.
He did a spot with Pat McAfee saying that there is no place that you can travel in the SEC and get an easy win except for Vanderbilt. And they took that clip after they beat Alabama, put it on the Jumbotron. Hilarious. They also took the goalpost. You know how they doing. Vanderbilt took the goalpost, threw that in the river.
They lucky that's all they took.
Sure. That's a fact, man. What'd you think about that game, though? What was your thoughts coming out of that one?
So, this is the beauty about college football, right? Just like from week to week, man, you just see it. And look, and when I see Alabama, you kind of, even though that was a hell of a win, but I look at a team for the 4 quarters and they crumbled, but then they got back on, they won. I said, okay, but that's Georgia. Listen, man.
First time since 1892.
Yeah. Dom is big. I think it's 2019, since like 2019. The first time they didn't have a lead in the game. That's crazy. That just shows that dynasty was off the hook. No, but like you said, it wasn't the Alabama loss, guys, right? We know that. Maybe it was a fluke. Bro, these guys dominated.
Yeah,
they just, and they made Alabama defense look basic. This team, that Vanderbilt team, and they've been competitive this year too. Look at Vanderbilt's games; they not 42-3 losses like they normally do.
Right.
It was beautiful to watch, man.
They
Because
started off the season with like an upset win over Virginia Tech. Now, granted, I mean it's Virginia Tech. Nobody thought that they were gonna, challenge for a playoff spot. But I mean, I might have actually at the beginning of the season. I looked at their schedule and thought that maybe they could make a run, but Vanderbilt did a thing.
that's
this
beauty,
weekend.
man. And we gotta appreciate those games, man. I loved it. I loved watching it. This just shows, man. You every week you gotta bring it, man. I just felt, man, we could just walk through Vanderbilt. They brought it on. They won. So shout to Vanderbilt on that win. Let's see how Alabama recovers. Also, what Tennessee
was upset. That's right.
lost to Arkansas.
Yeah, there was of course Michigan lost. Missouri got a mud hole stomped in them by Texas A&M. That was very bad.
Which makes Notre Dame's win now against them look even better.
I don't even want to.
I know. Where's my man? What's his name again?
Ryan.
Ryan. I said Ryan.
Yeah.
Ryan.
Shout out to Kinetic, who's here with
Kinetic.
us.
What's going on,
man?
champ?
Not too much, man. Like going through my phone this time since I couldn't get my headset to work on the computer last time.
Yeah.
No, I was just saying in the chat earlier, man. I think you guys are being a little too harsh on the coaches, man. You look at everything that they hear me out. You look at everything they had to deal with. He came in. He's a new head coach, first of all, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like everyone seems to think that because we're Michigan and because he coached those couple games last year that we were going to skip all the head coach growth. Like we got to ride with him through the growing pains. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But you look at everything he's having to deal with this year. We've had the last three recruiting classes have been handcuffed by Ward Manuel and the Regents not getting on board with NIL, which handcuffed Harbaugh in recruiting. And in a way, I think Harbaugh was kind of checked out on recruiting because of that for the last three classes. You add on top of that Harbaugh flirting with the NFL every single season, and that hurt recruiting. Right. And then you go to how much we lost all at one time because of the COVID medical red shirts and everything. We had so many seniors that left last year to the draft and just graduating. We lost a handful of players to the transfer portal. Only a couple that I think were huge losses, but I mean, even the wide receivers, we could use some of them right now that left too. At the time, I thought the only real losses were Sabb and Waller, but a couple of those wide receivers would look real nice right now. But you look at the timeline of it. I keep seeing people talking about, well, why didn't we get Kyle McCord? Why didn't we get Will Rogers? Any of that? Those guys were already committed before we even won the Natty. Okay.
I was one of those people who was talking about the Honda McCourt.
Right. And by the time you look at the timeline, Kalen DeBoer was hired before Jim Harbaugh was even had even announced he was leaving, before JJ had announced he was leaving. There wasn't a QB in the portal that was going to wait out and come here without knowing that whether JJ was staying or not, whether Harbaugh was staying or not. And if Harbaugh wasn't staying, it wasn't just like, oh, Harbaugh's gone, now the next day we can get in the portal. Sharon had to be hired, which took a week or two. Though he had to put his staff together. He put his staff together in February. They didn't get officially hired until March, right? And in March, by the time all the staff was hired, we had 3 weeks before the spring game. So that the staff gets in and he's trying to run spring camp before the spring game. And then we have the spring game and then the spring portal opens up. Did he really know what we really had in the QB room at that point, or was he being optimistic? And what QB was in the portal after the spring game for him to go after? So I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. After the spring game, maybe not, but I know Dante Moore was around the campus right at about that time. Now, granted, do you really want the headache that is Dante Moore?
I don't.
Right.
Personally, I don't think Dante Moore's the guy, but Dante Moore was around flirting around with in the winter portal. Right. He wasn't a spring portal guy.
Right.
Because I remember that, like, the thing with Dante Moore and the thing with Damani Jackson was around the Rose Bowl.
It was.
So I mean, that was already that wasn't even an option. And then you like I said, so you got Sharon Moore coming in late, missed the winter portal, coming in late, barely getting in time for spring camp, having to evaluate and everything by when the spring portal even opens up, going into a season after everything we lost with 3 lackluster recruiting classes and with one of the hardest schedules in the country. Come on, man.
No.
Like,
No, Kinetic. Listen, man, you make a lot of phenomenal points, my brother. You know, it's hard to disagree, but I will disagree with the defensive side of the ball. Like I mentioned early in the show, you have Wink, who the 2 defensive schemes we ran, right? The last 3 years, he is the creator of that scheme. So he's not coming into nothing different. More than half of these players on the defense, with the exception of, Barham, and that's it. I mean, Hill, he was on the team, he didn't play. But he's in those meetings. They understand the scheme, right? Wink, quote unquote, said nothing's gonna change. I'm not changing anything. I'm just gonna add some stuff, but it doesn't change. And we're arguably top 5 most talented defenses in the country. We're not playing like it, of course. So at least on the defensive side, no, you gotta question that, because how is that nothing has changed? Same defensive scheme. We got the creator now with these defensive players, and our defense is not playing up to par. That's not, bro. That I'm not buying. I get the whole quarterback transfer portal. You're right. People act like there was 5 quarterbacks just waiting there to say, "Hey, Michigan, me," and we said, "No, we don't want another you." I get
what
that.
What about Diego Pavia?
And I get the whole thing with more. You got to give. Listen. I said it. I don't know if you heard Kinetic. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. I'm not saying fire more. No,
I am too.
This is late.
I'm behind Sharon Moore 1,000%.
What we putting out there, regardless, should look better. Kinetic. I'm not saying we should be undefeated, but it should look better than what it has been. We'll see, right? Let's see how the season ends, and let's see what we do in the off season.
Yeah, I'm okay. Full disclosure, I was excited when we got Wink. I thought he was going to be great, and I'm not ready to. I'm not ready to be out on him yet, because I like watching the games. I like his play calling, except for those 0 blitzes at random times. But you remove that, I like his play calling. How many times has he called the right play and the guys have been out of position? How many times has he called the right play and something else breaks down, and you know what I'm saying? Like somebody slips or something like that. Like, what's going on with our equipment manager? What's going on with our strength and conditioning? Why are our guys so gassed?
I think Dom is in. I see Dom in the queue. He mentioned it from the first episode. He said Ben Hubert. He said losing him was going to be a big loss. And listen, we're 6 weeks in, and it couldn't be any truer, man. The toughness isn't there. These dudes is getting hurt. They fingernails. They can't play now. It's just ridiculous. I don't know what's going on. And then the question becomes this, gentlemen, the locker room. How's the locker room feeling right now? What's the
nobody's talked about that. 3 quarterbacks have played football for the Wolverines now.
If there gotta be some kind of turmoil in there. I hope I'm wrong, but they gotta be.
I don't think so, man.
All right.
I don't think there is. I don't. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and claim to know the guys or anything, but I got to meet Alex Orji a while back, and everything I've seen from him, from Davis Warren, from Jack Tuttle, it's like they're just there. They want to do whatever's best for the team, and like they support each other. I don't think, and that's what I think is so great about Michigan and our QB room, and why I'm so against bringing in someone like Dante Moore or even Bryce Underwood, because I don't think they have that mentality of, let me be here to help the team. I don't think there's any controversy in the room.
Yeah, no, not the quarterback. Not the quarterback room. I'm talking more so in general. Good. The locker room in general,
This is actually a good one. I'm not even mad at this. All right, so
Listen,
look,
you gotta. We gotta take when we was winning. We gotta take the go with the bad.
Right.
That's
right,
funny.
right.
And that's all I'm saying. Like ride. Let's ride with Coach Moore. Let's
We
let him
are.
grow. Let's let
are.
him grow. I don't even, I would say of the coaches, the ones that I'm questioning the most are Bellamy and our linebacker coach. I'm gonna say his name wrong, but it's like Jean Marie or Jean Marie.
Yeah, it's Jean.
Those are the two that I'm really questioning personally. I'm
Mary.
questioning Kurt Campbell's play calling, but I feel like what would this staff be able to do with a full off season, with full portal access? You know what I'm saying? Like I feel like with what they were handed, you can't hold this year against them.
Yeah, no, you're right. Listen, but Kinetic is gonna be a 50-50. Some people like I forgot my man. He just put it. He said, listen, Michigan has set a standard these last 3 seasons, right? We don't want to go back. Listen, we all blow. I'm 42 years old, man. I've been a Michigan fan since 1990. 9 years old, right? I watched the Rose Bowl when Washington beat them, right? So I've seen bad seasons, right? I've seen very, very bad seasons. A lot of these dudes they were born in 1999. I'm hearing, I was born in 99. I'm like, damn, you're a baby, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to go through that again. But you understand? Because look, as much as we could say, Ohio State doesn't have bad seasons, bro. They had one. Like in the last 15 years, that was when Jim Tressel got fired. They had
Luke Fickell.
That was when we beat them. Brady Hope's first year, and we barely beat them. We went life and death with one of the worst Ohio State teams. They went 7-5.
Brady Hoke had a chance to beat them his last year too.
A lot of years. The next year too, he did. So hopefully. We get the opposite of Brady Hoke. He had a phenomenal first year. We said, this is the guy. He's bringing Michigan back. And it was like, whoa.
Being born past 97.
I'm just saying, with everything that we're dealing with, this isn't an overnight fix. This isn't a 1 year fix. We're looking at a 2 to 3 year rebuild to be back. I mean, let's be realistic. We are. I mean, our team's going to be thinner than it is now next year, and we're going to get our first good recruiting class coming in next year, but they're all going to be freshmen.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like we'll see what happens in the portal, but
right.
Yeah.
Yo, I said it, that checkbook, right? People say, like, I don't get into the politics.
Dom, we come into you next.
But we understand that everyone knows that Michigan has, if not the biggest alumni, they have boosters, they have money, all of this. They have so many people that's willing to say, yes, let's do it. Michigan has to get with the times, man.
Yeah.
I'm not saying get 20 guys from the portal, but get at least a good solid 10. They can make immediate impact. Say, yo, what you need? 1.2? That's nothing.
Listen, here's the thing.
You got to get the Scrooge McDuck on here, man.
We got to catch those other state boosters in the alley.
Look at Portnoy. He already said it.
Right. Hey, yo, by the way, I disagree with you, Kinetic, on one thing. If Bryce Underwood wants to come to Michigan, man, we let him come to Michigan.
Okay, here's my problem with Underwood and with Moore, and I'll make this point, and I'll back off so Dom can get in on this.
Yeah,
I'm okay with spending money. I'm okay. I get it. It's NIL, but I don't want the guys that are money first. And guys like Dante Moore, guys like Bryce Underwood, that's what they strike me as. They strike me as highest bidder, and I'm looking at. I don't want to pay some guy to come in, especially a guy out of high school, for him to pull a Sluka 3 games into next season. Like I want someone here that make your money, but money don't need to be the first thing you're worried about. It don't need to be the top priority.
Make sure those deposits are on time.
And I'm gonna be honest. I don't remember what show it was on. I saw some show where Underwood was on it, and he made a bunch of shots, threw a few slick shots at Michigan. I don't want the dude. I'm sorry, But all right, I'll stay on, or I'll hop off up to you. But I'm gonna shut up for a minute and let Dom jump in.
You can stay right there. Dom, what's good, man?
How you doing, gentlemen?
Dom,
Kinetic,
there,
brother.
Dom.
All right, I tell you what, you guys got to have Kinetic on more often because that was some quality content.
He in the kitchen right now. He cooking.
Right.
Quality content. You know, we're talking a lot about the coaches. I think one thing that we're missing here is the coaches that were lost. They were carrying clout with them. I mean, Minter was NFL, Harbaugh's career. Elston, I think I'm saying that wrong. Clinkscale and Hart, all Michigan players. The current staff doesn't have that, and I think some of the players, just natural, they're kids. A little bit of ego and hangover from winning the title, and maybe some lack of respect for the existing coaches came into play. But also, you take out a whole staff, you got a whole staff like that. In the past, if some of them would have stayed, more would have been able to say, okay, I need you to do this, this, and this, and it would have been done Harbaugh's way. You have basically a whole new coaching staff coming in saying, oh, by the way, what is the Michigan way, guys? I'm new here. And I think not having that cohesive transfer from one staff to the next was a key component in things kind of being disorganized, not on the same page that we're seeing right now. And that's why I harped on Herbert, because if anything, they would have been in shape and they would have been mentally tough.
Right. We're not even seeing those videos, right, on social media of like the guys in the weight room,
There
you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think Herbert was supposed to be that transitioning, like that piece. Clinkscale was supposed to be here, but they left at the 11th hour.
Yeah.
Well, Herbert wanted to stay, and he wanted a 10-year contract. And my buddy Ward Manuel said no. And Kinetic was touching upon the timing of everything. It's very much true. And he dangling that 11th hour contract to Harbaugh to stay and give him what he wanted. It just extended Harbaugh's dance with the Chargers as well. He did nobody any favors. He needs to go away.
Yeah. I do think he is a problem. And speaking of Ward Manuel, he has been a thorn in the side of progress for Michigan, which is kind of crazy to even think about. So
I think the bulk of our problems now go back to him.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Dallas fan says, don't get cute. Quarterback Bryce Underwood went to LSU to get developed by Mike Denbrock, but he's not there. And if you can get him and a top OC, you do it because it's a two-step move. I know your thoughts on this, Kinetic. I know you think he's out for the money.
Yeah.
I'm with Kinetic.
You're right. So
Dom is also
I look at it,
thinks he's out for the money.
Yeah.
I think he's out for the money. I just think we got to pay him the money.
Yeah, but again, to Kinetic's point, right? Of course, who doesn't want a Bryce Underwood? Let's just be honest.
Right.
He's a hell of a talent. But if he's gonna be a diva, he's gonna come in here, not work hard. Because I got money. Y'all pay me. So I'm good. And then what? He doesn't like certain things. He don't like coaches talk. So I'm gonna transfer out. And he just got Michigan for 1.3, 2.3 when they could use that on somebody else. So, but it's hard to say. If Underwood says, listen, Michigan, I'm willing to come. I'm not saying don't open the doors, but they got to be some stipulations in that contract. Listen, we're not taking no diva. If you're going to come in here and just think you're going to be a diva, no, we're not taking that. You could go. We could pay somebody else, bro. We got Jaden Davis, we got Carter Smith, we got Brady Hart coming in. I don't want to bring in a diva that's all about money that's going to upset that room. There's already a unity. The unity we have right now that we had last year with JJ, and the unity we got in the room right now, there's already that unity forming with Carter Smith and with Brady Hart. I mean, from what I understand, Carter Smith is the one that helped recruit Brady Hart to Michigan. We got that with Jaden Davis. He's part of that. I don't want to bring in some guy, for money that's going to upset that's going to cause disruption in that room like that. I mean, if Underwood comes in and he can get his
I can't think of the word right now, but if he can get his priorities straight and be a part of that, great. But I don't believe that he's that kind of guy.
That's a big ass, Kinetic. That's a big ass.
So
listen, I know the guy.
Go back to that comment. Somebody said something about y'all talking about divas, but we got
yeah. I saw Bloomer said
Bloomer. So Bloomer, you that is a funny one. But if I'm not mistaken, you guys could correct me. I believe part of the package, part of him committing to Michigan was that they agreed that he would redshirt. So they said, okay, you want a red shirt? Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm not with it. You see, we just spoke about Riola over in Nebraska cooking the generic Mahomes over there, but he's still cooking nonetheless.
Well,
why
just
not?
like we got a
great value Mahomes.
Yeah.
Well, just like we got to keep our commitments when we promise them money. If we make them promises like that, listen, I don't think that a parent, a recruit's parent should be dictating whether he plays or not. But
I agree.
I do think that if we made that promise, if that was part of the recruitment, and they said, listen, if he comes there, we don't want him to be put in before he's ready. We want him to get developed, and you promise us that you're going to take care of our son, and you're going to make sure he's ready before you put him out there. If that was the promise, I mean, then we got to keep that promise, because if we start breaking those promises, we're going to start losing commits. We're going to start having people say, well, what do your promises mean? It's just as important as money. And so I don't want to see us break that, even though I disagree with it being promised. If it was promised, we got to keep it.
Yeah. You know, Kinetic, there's always, even in business, there's things the way it's supposed to be, and then there's a hiccup, and then how quickly is that hiccup fixed to get the business going again. And with the Jaden Davis aspect, it would have been, look, folks, we made that deal with you before Brady Hart committed to the university. Your son could play, or there's a good chance he's going to be holding the clipboard when Brady Hart gets here.
Right.
Where is the foresight of these people, right?
Bingo.
Like, do you not? The writing is on the wall. Brady Hart, I don't know if anybody's been following his high school season. Is lighting it up, right?
We remember Carter Smith comes first.
No, I get that.
I like Smith.
That's fair. I like Smith too. I think he's the only back-to-back Gatorade player of the year of his state, right?
This is what I've been telling Michigan fans. So if Jaden Davis is the player we assume him to be, right? We just got to also make sure we have the right personnel around him, right? If we can just get a decent personnel, I think next year, Michigan is going to be way better offensively, because he's going to be able to stretch that field. He got the arm. He's just a kid.
Absolutely.
Then you got Carter Smith coming in, and then you're going to have Brady Hart coming in. So Michigan quarterbacks, as long as none
although
of them
there's talk of Brady Hart, reclassifying.
Oh,
yeah. I've seen rumors, but it's mostly been message board stuff.
Yeah, I hope he does not, because that kind of messes up that feng shui.
At least we know that for the foreseeable future, Michigan's quarterback room is looking very, very good. So we don't need a panic there. So we have to now, really, the defense, guys. We losing Will Johnson. We losing our whole front four: Derek Moore, Isaiah Stewart, Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, and we losing Quentin Johnson, Makari Page, which I don't think we're gonna miss. Right, Rob Moore is going to the pros. So we only got two. We're gonna have three guys coming back: Barham, Hausman, and Jahari Hill. Three defensive.
Well, but we got some young guys that are going to be good, man. I can never say his name right. Edic Paye. I can't say his name, but you know who I'm talking about. That defensive end. It's like Edic Paye or Edic. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah, I think he's he's young
still. But we got him. We got Ed TJ guy. Like we've got some guys.
What about Benny, number 26, right?
Yeah, Benny. Yeah. Rayson Benny.
This is last year. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I know we got Nichols, right? He got some play, number 33.
Yep.
He looks like, I think with a whole season, I think we'll be solid. This is why Kinetic Dom. We need to go into that portal. And we need
to supplement the defensive and offense, if I'm being real, through the portal. Before, though, we move off of the quarterback talk.
Gentlemen, thank you. Kinetic, come on more often, man. What great content. Thank you, sir.
Yes.
Thank you, man.
See, See, I had to talk you into doing this sort of thing, man. All right, but anyway, before we move off to the quarterback talk really fast, we are doing a lot of assuming too when it comes to Bryce Underwood. I know what it looks like. He's a teenage kid who, filmed his prom and stuff like that, and he does seem to hot dog it sometimes. But at the same time, he is a homegrown talent. He's right down the street. This is one of the things that I think that Michigan needs to focus on is keeping the best players in Michigan in Michigan, right? The other state does this very well. Since the guy who got his season taken away for the tattoos.
Jim Tressel.
Jim Tressel, thank you. Since Jim Tressel, they put a fence around the state of Ohio that was keeping Michigan from getting the best players out of Ohio. Now, granted, now Michigan has in recent years gone back into there and dipped back into that pool, but Michigan has not put that fence around the state of Michigan for their best players. A couple of seasons ago, Notre Dame was wiping the floor with Michigan in the state of Michigan. Dante Moore leaves to go to UCLA, then Oregon. CJ Carr goes to Notre Dame. Now you have Bryce Underwood, who's not just the best quarterback in Michigan or in the country. He's the best player in the country, and he's going to LSU. And if there's any way that you can start to get those guys to come to Michigan, they have to do it. Now, I understand what you're saying about chemistry and all of that, but at the same time, we can't project onto him either. Like, we don't know for sure if he's going to be a disruptor, right? Especially if he gets what he wants, if Michigan and him can come to terms and they satisfy those demands or whatever on both sides, then we just don't know. What we do know, though, is that he's the most talented dude in the class, right? But I also don't want a disruption either. So I will say that.
Talent will carry you in high school, but if talent with a diva mentality don't always carry you in college,
right.
If you can't have that chemistry in the room. And my problem with Bryce Underwood is that he never really gave Michigan a real shot, and that was almost 100% because of NIL. And then not only did he make the decision to go to LSU, which, I'd respect that. Maybe, even if money's your big thing, if you're still like a respectful, dude and whatnot, but to go on TV and take shots at your hometown school,
mm-hmm.
for what reason? Like, what purpose did that serve?
Yeah, you're right. That kinetic, I agree. Like that didn't sit well with me. I understand if he committed to Ohio State or Michigan State, and it's a rivalry thing.
Right.
He went to LSU. He's in the SEC to say, yeah, Michigan has who? And and then them dweebs, because they thirsty for interviews, they're like, yeah, who is it? I got it. Like, bro.
Yeah, if you go to a rival, you buying into the rivalry, cool.
Yeah.
But going to LSU, there is no reason. What rivalry are you buying into? The Les Miles never came here, like.
That's why. That's what I'm saying. If he would have been an Ohio State commit or Michigan State commit, I would have not been mad at that comment. But for him to say that, it's all good. Listen, at the end of the day, I learned something. Wish him the best. Hopefully he do his thing over in LSU, because I know Michigan's quarterback room, the future is bright. I'm not saying I wouldn't want a Bryce Underwood neither. I'm not saying that. But again, I think that those are telling signs right there. Those are red flags that, okay, so now that's how you felt about Michigan. Now you commit to Michigan. Why? Because they threw the bag at you. It's like, I'm just here for the money. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? And if anything, I'm gonna just go ahead and transfer out next year if I just don't. Nah, bro. I get that. We don't got time for that. Move on. Listen, Michigan missed out on a lot of players and they ended up well. Coaching matters, bro. At the end of the day, you telling me the last 3 years, Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, all out recruited Michigan for years.
Mm-hmm.
And Michigan won the Natty, and they were right there 2 years in a row to be one game away from the Natty. They almost played in the Natty 2 years, because that Georgia game we had no shot. But we should have definitely beaten TCU that year.
Yeah,
that was just a fluke loss.
But even that game, people put so much on that game. Like, outside of those 2 pick sixes, we still played a hell of a game. It was just that like two of the five worst throws of JJ's career happened to be in one game, and then we weren't able to play well enough to come back from it. But we still, if you take those two passes out, we still outplayed them.
Mar, I don't think you're wrong, man. It is definitely.
It's gonna come with a cap. Eventually, they're gonna put a cap to that,
which they did, right? The $20 million thing. Oh,
no, that's just the revenue sharing.
Yeah.
So Kinetic, what I would say though about that TCU game, you're right. It was 51-45 minus 14. That's 37 points. That was the thing. Jesse Mintz's defense we were balling. The most we gave up that year, I believe, was 27 to Ohio State. 27. We gave up 30.
DJ Turner lost us that game.
Yo, he was slipping, bro.
That angle he took to make that tackle still haunts my dream.
I hate to admit it, man. I'm such a Turner fan, but like,
yeah. But guys, we also forget something. Look at how many times I counted. I got to relook at it. 4 games.
Yo. We got to chill, man.
There was 4 possessions, I believe.
Sandusky, Ohio, though. Cedar Point is legendary.
Was in the red zone and only came out like with 6 points. You're not going to remember the Roman Wilson that should have been a touchdown. Next play, Mullins fumbles. There was the
Roman Wilson overturn was crazy. That was wild. I don't know who sent the check for that call. That was a crazy overturn.
Bro, that even if it got over, we got the ball right there with the Joe Moore Ward lineman. That should have been a touchdown. While we running a quick dive, relax, bro.
Man,
go in the spread.
I'm so mad at that game.
Yeah.
Michigan can certainly make the playoff with 2 losses. However,
that's it.
Do you think we are winning out? Come on, bro.
Mama, listen, champ. Michigan winning out.
I'm behind Tuttle now. Let me say that. The last 2 days, I've been going crazy. But I got to get behind the quarterback. It looks like he's the quarterback.
Listen, let's just call it. But listen, this doesn't have to be the end of orgies, what I'm saying.
No, not at all.
Make it a 2 quarterback system, not where they sharing series. No, what I'm saying is, you know what? Get in that red zone. You know what? Let's get orgy in there. Give these defensives, these coaches something, right? And it's a quick mix. The momentum is like, oh shit, all right. Orgy is here. He could pass a little bit. He could pass a little bit.
Sandusky.
So we gotta be careful.
Come on, Sandusky. I got hope for you, bro.
It's all right. Listen, everyone, look, we know this is the reality. Michigan is gonna lose some scholarships. Michigan is gonna get fined. More probably get suspended, but nothing is getting vacated.
Sandusky from now on.
Quick question about that. Moore gets suspended for, I don't know, just say 2 games. Who's the interim head coach?
It's gonna have.
It can't be Kirk Campbell.
So is it gonna be Wink?
It can't be Wink either.
Oh man, that's gonna be bad.
It's gotta be. Hey, wasn't Jim trying to make his father like head coach one of those games? Hey, you gotta call up Papa Harbaugh.
The honorary coach with quotation marks. Honorary coach for the day.
Right.
That's going to be interesting. I think, honestly, I know we joking about it. It's either Kirk Campbell or Wink.
Damn it, man. Nah.
Like I said, I'm not ready to give up on Wink. I think you if you give him, I mean, he's had what?
No more old people.
He's had what? He's had 8 months to come back to college, try to get acclimated to a new team, to college kids, to the college game, and install his version of the system.
Hey, look.
I want to see what he does. I want to see what he does with a full year.
That's fair. That's fair. He is getting acclimated to college
with a new staff.
Reacclimated. That said, I think this is more realistic every day because Tom Brady is not good at his new job. We found what Tom Brady's not good at.
Hey, Tom Brady. Look, Tom Brady comes in and can be an analyst because they can coach on the field now, and he can be the interim head coach, right?
Tom Brady comes, we get all the recruits,
or if you know what, hey, if the suspensions are next year, I think next year we bring in new QB coach Jack Tuttle.
Hey,
No, hey, I mean, he's old enough. That's for sure. He definitely he's graduated a few times.
Yeah.
So,
He should be.
hey, yo.
He got 2 degrees from Michigan.
I think he's older than Patrick Mahomes, man. If I'm not mistaken.
Hey, look, I think. Listen, Charles Woodson. Yo, somebody just said it. Charles, don't do Sharon like that. But if Charles Woodson came back to be anything on the Michigan staff,
DB's coach,
DB coach, or DC.
Exactly.
If
Right.
Wink is gone. But let's start with the DB coach. I agree.
All right.
Well,
Man,
let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because so if let's say Wink leaves after this year, do we promote one of the other guys like Morgan or Esposito? Esposito's been killing it, or do we go outside? Do we try to get Klink to come back?
Group on the team.
I think Kinetic. It all depends what's available, right? You look at it. You can't. You're not gonna turn down someone that's good.
I just don't want to.
I don't know who would be available right now, right? But it's always good to hire from within. Michigan has done a good job. One thing Harbaugh did as well was hire, man. He always did good hires. The only ones that, I think Josh Gaddis was like, it wasn't a horrible hire, but it wasn't a home run neither. It was like in between, and then it was friction.
It just wasn't the right fit. It wasn't a bad hire, but it wasn't the right fit.
What they want. Don Brown's 2016 and 2017 defenses were national championship worthy. Michigan's offenses was the reason Michigan lost games that year. It wasn't because it's that defense. We could say later on, once teams started to figure out Don Brown, he just in the
Don Brown was dominated. Everybody, if I'm being fair, except for the other states.
2016, and mind you, that 2017 defense, only one returning starter, Mike McCray, one linebacker, 10 new starters, and he had that defense as a top-notch defense. But our offense, we had John O'Corn, and you, bro, I'm not gonna just go ahead.
Well, like my hope personally, and I don't know if how out in the stars this was, but my hope was that Wink was going to come in for a couple of years. We got 3 different position coaches that all got coordinator experience. Teach one of them the system the same way you taught Mentor and McDonald, and groom one of them to be your heir apparent. That was my hope with Wink, because I mean I never expected him to stay more than 2 to 3 years anyway. Yeah. It felt like he was we want to keep the same system, and we need to bring someone in that runs that system, and that's why we brought him in.
Gentlemen, I agree with you. We got to cut this one short. I got to get out of here. But Kinetic, your Dom is right. You got to hop up here more often. By the way, join me, Kinetic, the Maniac. We all in the Discord, people. Join us in the Discord. Until next time, y'all know the slow. Oh, before I get out of here, Kinetic, tell the people where they can find you if you want them to find you.
It's Kinetic 615 on every platform. Every platform I'm on, it's Kinetic 615.
And of course, my guy, the Maniac.
Right there, baby. The_boxer maniac Instagram. I'm not on everything. Twitter. I've been in Twitter prison for like 8 years, man. That's going to war. That's going to war with Ohio State and Michigan State.
You gotta get you back out there on them X streets.
Yeah.
But look, follow me everywhere at Maize Madman. You already know that. Until next time, stay angry, my friends.